Yeah, Randy Moss, that little segment they do on, Monday Night Football, You Got Mossed? Randy Moss would just, go up there, he'd have crazy vertical, and he would just, Moss on quarterbacks. He was just able to grab these catches that you'd think, wouldn't be physically possible. And on top of that, if you just look at his stats, he was, a prime receiver that, quarterbacks would look to. Even, towards the later parts of his year, towards the later parts of his career, with Tom Brady, he was the big factor on the New England Patriots team. He was able to help a lot of teams be successful.
Eric just showed me a picture of him in an old
that does not even look
jersey.
like you.
I know, I'm built like a pencil. Look at my arms. You can wrap it around anything, honestly. It was ridiculous. Jeez, I kind of grew into myself.
What about Brian Urlacher, guys?
Oh, okay. I know I told you this story. The first Super Bowl that I watched beginning to end was Colts-Bears. And, hold on, because I was so concerned with finding that Terrell Owens, jersey, I had his stats written down. Okay, so Urlacher, 8-time Pro Bowler, 4-team first-team All-Pro, NFL Defensive Player of the Year,
Another one of the best linebackers of all time.
NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, 1,353 tackles, again, 41.5 sacks, and 22 interceptions. I'm telling you, guys like Brian Urlacher and Ray Lewis and even Dawkins, they rejuvenated all these defensive positions. And they were the best at what they played.
You got a tough time lumping Brian Dawkins into that group, in my opinion. Dawkins was a good player, don't get me wrong.
I've only seen him twice a year, but I've seen what he can do.
Yeah, he was a good player. I'm not knocking Brian Dawkins.
Player.
I just don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I wouldn't go as far as to say great. Very good. I will give Brian Dawkins very good. I wouldn't give him great. Great safeties, in my opinion, are, people like Ed Reed. People of that ilk. And I don't think Dawkins was at that level.
Like Ronnie Lott.
Ronnie Lott, exactly.
Ronnie Lott was great.
Brian Urlacher should be in, and there's no question about that, in my opinion. He was one of my favorite players growing up.
So was that, again, I know I told you this. Growing up, I loved the Giants.
You have a lot of stories.
I do. I loved the Giants, and I grew up watching the Dolphins, and for some strange reason, I liked the Bears. I liked them when Rex Grossman was quarterback.
Gee whiz.
Yeah, I go back a little bit, but Brian Urlacher was probably, I wanted to play football growing up, and honestly, Brian Urlacher was a guy I looked up to.
All right, that's fair.
I liked hitting people, but again, like you just saw, I was so skinny, I would have gotten hit if I was the linebacker. They would have ran over me.
Playing football, I like being the linebacker and just decking people. Robert Brazil. I gave you my opinion.
I'm telling you right now. Look, congratulations to him, but I do not think that he should have been a Hall of Famer. Again, he was a 7-time Pro Bowler. He was an NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was on the 1970s All-Decade team, but 13 interceptions and 201 interception yards. Good stats. But that's the key word. Good, not great. Unfortunately, again, congratulations to him. I do not think he should have been in.
I agree with you 100%, Eric, and I gave you my qualifier for it. My buddy Jim telling me he didn't remember him, that's good enough for me saying he shouldn't be in. It's the kind of thing where it's like you think of old 70s defensive players, and there were some great ones. The list is too long to go through. You take a look at guys like Jack Ham, Jack Lambert. Those are Hall of Famers. Those are guys that should be in. And you saw my Los Angeles Rams fearsome foursome helmet.
Yes, I did, and it's very cool.
Deacon Jones, Merlin Olsen, Lamar Lundy, Rosie Greer, former Giant. Those guys should be in. Yes, all 4 of them. The sack exchange should all be in. I don't think Robert Brazil is of that ilk.
Are all the Purple People Eaters in?
No, there is one holdout, I think. I will check for you after I read this name, and this guy should be in. Jerry Kramer.
When you protect Bart Starr, you're a 2-time Super Bowl champion, and before that, a 5-time NFL champion. You make the Pro Bowl 3 times. You were on probably one of the best Packer teams that football has ever seen. 100%, you should have been in.
He was, without question, one of the best offensive linemen in history. That offensive line with that jet sweep, him, Bob Skoronski, Forrest Gregg, Jim Ringo, and then it became Bill Curry. Gail Gillingham was there. He was the backup. They had, who's the right tackle? This is going to kill me. I'll think of it. But Jerry Kramer was an incredible offensive lineman. I'm very glad that he is in. What about Bobby Beathard?
I feel like, if you're going on executives, I'm looking at his stuff here. He helped the Redskins to win 4 Super Bowls, 3-time AFC champion, 3-time NFC champion. I'm not sure if all of those were with the Redskins, but,
Beathard was one of the best Washington Redskin executives of all time. He brought in some key pieces for their Super Bowl teams. He was an easy yes, in my opinion.
I agree. He was an easy yes, in my opinion. The Super Bowls, AFC championships, the NFC championships, they all count for something.
Oh, absolutely.
If you can get, an NFL team to 7 Super Bowls and you have some sort of, credit where it's due to that, I feel like, it's a pretty job well done.
Jim Marshall and Gary Larson are not in the Hall of Fame.
From the Purple People Eaters?
Yeah.
And you know who was the defensive coach of the Purple People Eaters?
You tell me.
Buddy Ryan.
Yeah, that's right. Buddy Ryan was there. And then he went to the Eagles with Kevin Gilbride, and they almost killed each other.
Almost. Didn't happen, though.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
My dad tells me that all the time.
Eminem actually said that in one of his songs on the album. I don't know if you listened to it. It was on Believe. He said
it
that.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You're listening to Beyond the Game on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. This show is on twice a week, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 3 p.m. I am Jacob Volk. Sitting across from me, Eric Fischetti and Joe Ardita. Number to call if you have something on your mind is 516-572-7440. Haven't done that yet this show. We've been on such a roll with football.
Oh, wow, we are rolling along. I didn't even realize
it's been a nice flowing conversation,
it
like
really
water.
has been.
Fluid motions.
I like it. The Raiders released David Amerson. According to Pro Football Focus, last year he had a 39.7 overall grade. What do you think of him being released?
I think it makes sense. The Raiders had the 26th ranked passing defense or defense against the pass, and they're going to need some corners. And as we mentioned before, there were a lot of options on the market. And now with John Gruden coming in, hopefully they're going to be able to revamp the team. You have Derek Carr, you have Khalil Mack, a lot of good pieces, but they need help at corner. So, and looking at his overall grade, I don't really think he even played much.
He got hurt early on. Last year, we're calling it
2017. So yeah, I think that makes sense, this cut. So.
Yeah, I hear you. David Amerson did not do that well for the Raiders. Was an enormous bust. And John Gruden, he's going to make that team over in his image.
I'm telling you right now, the Raiders are going to be a scary team next year.
Yes, they are.
They really are. And John Gruden is going to help lure free agents to Oakland, Las Vegas eventually.
I'm very excited to see what he's going to do with Derek Carr, excuse me.
I am too.
David Carr, gee whiz.
David Carr. Please don't say that name again. But I am so excited to see what the Raiders can do next year. The AFC West is going to be very tough.
Yes, it will be. The Saints released Tony McDaniel. According to Pro Football Focus, last year he had a 75.2 overall grade. What are your thoughts on him being cut?
Well, the Saints actually needed to clear up roster space to sign wide receiver Josh Huff and linebacker, if I'm pronouncing this right, Jerome Elliott.
Yeah, Jerome Elliott.
And apparently he was going to leave anyway, so it was kind of
his contract was up, right?
Right, so it kind of
I still think they should have made an effort to re-sign him. He was good last year.
He was, but if he was going to leave...
I know he was hurt, but he still, when he was healthy, was good.
All I'm saying is if he was going to leave, I didn't really see it as a big deal. If he wasn't going to leave, I would have been like, how can you do that? At least give an effort. But then when it came out and said, oh, he was going to leave anyway, I was like, oh, okay, so
give him an early start on free agency.
No love lost, that kind of thing.
No, that's fair. That's a very fair thought. So, on that note, let's take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be talking baseball next on Beyond the Game on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
1 in 3 adults in America have pre-diabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Here's 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mama. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
Okay.
Yo.
Tell your friends about the NASA Morning Madhouse. Hear what you're missing.
Check it out.
Check it out.
I want to talk about a Taco Bell.
Oh, I love Taco Bell.
Tragedy struck in Alabama. A Taco Bell burned down.
Oh, no.
Rest in peace, Taco
Say it
Bell.
ain't so.
So a lot of locals were shell-shocked, obviously, because it was a great place where they would go ahead and just enjoy food.
Yes, and this
consume
was,
food.
probably, you said it was in Alabama, right?
It was in Alabama.
Probably like a small town. They probably only
Small
had
town.
one Taco Bell.
Exactly. They might not have a whole
Yeah.
bunch. Two roommates decided together they should go ahead and hold a memorial for the Taco Bell.
Okay, babe.
What?
I can't get my cheese quesarito in a row.
And let me tell you, it was Nacho Ordinary Vigil.
Oh, come on. Go sit in the corner and think about what you've done.
NASA Morning Madhouse. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9. On the voice of Nassau Community College.
90.3 WHPC.
Hi, my name is...
Yes.
See, now that Brandon and Dominic aren't here, I can play these and no one can say anything.
So does that mean I have to be 3 people?
No.
Brandon, Dominic, and Eric?
Just be the best Eric you can be.
Okay. Ugh, this is happening again.
You're listening to Beyond the Game on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. This show is on twice a week, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 3 p.m. I'm Jacob Volk. You can follow me on Twitter at RealJacobVolk. Sitting across from me, Eric Fischetti, who you can follow on Twitter at Sergeant Fish, and Joe Ardita, who you can follow on Twitter at JoeCoolNY. You can also follow this show on Twitter at BTGWHPC. Number to call if you have something on your mind is 516-572-7440. While I've got your attention, I got to tell you about a great show that we have on this station. It's called Oasis. It's on Sundays at 9 a.m. Victoria Crosby presents new age, light jazz, and classical music along with poetry readings. Let's get to baseball. The Mets signed Todd Frazier to a 2-year deal worth $17 million. Last year for the White Sox and Yankees, he hit .213 with 27 home runs and 76 RBIs. Joe, what are your thoughts on the deal?
Well, looking at the price tag, this seems like a bargain to me. I don't know what you think about it, but I feel like this has something to do with the free agent market being a little bit stagnant recently.
Yeah, I want to get your opinion on that.
I don't really know what's going on. I mean, we had a kind of a fire sale going on in about a month or two ago in December. And
yeah, everyone was being traded.
I mean,
like
especially
Miami
from the
and Pittsburgh.
Marlins. The Marlins trade away their entire outfield, and that's honestly, it's really sad to see. Just I'm getting a little off topic, but it's kind of ruining my image of Derek Jeter. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
I don't understand what he's doing there. But as far as relating to Todd Frazier, from what I saw last year, he injected a lot of energy into the Yankees locker room, and
because he loved being a Yankee.
That's true, yes. And he was from New Jersey, and the whole story that they mentioned 5 different times on Sunday Night Baseball when he was there,
my God.
throughout the
Tom's
playoffs.
River
Yes.
prodigy.
Yes,
Just shut up about it. We get it. It's a nice anecdote. Talk about his play on the field.
But yeah, he wasn't amazing, but he did have some big hits when it mattered. He's a solid defender at third base, and I feel like the Mets, as being a clubhouse leader, I feel like the Mets are going to need somebody like that. I mean, they have David Wright, but I mean, he's not really going to be playing.
I am so scared of David.
They don't have David Wright.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't think David Wright's going to be in a Mets uniform this year. I really don't.
I think the only time we'll see David Wright in a Met uniform again is when they do a ceremony for him. When he announces his retirement, maybe they'll retire his number. I don't know.
I mean, that's why they signed Todd Frazier, right? Because they both played third base, and Dave Wright's definitely not playing. I mean, his bones are
not
broken down. So yeah, I feel like this is a pretty good signing, and his personality is very jolly. I feel like it's something the Mets will enjoy having.
Not only this, but they signed a position of need, because when you look at the in-house options at third base for the New York Mets, you got Jose Reyes, who I cannot trust at third base. He is not the same player he used to be. His legs are
Isn't
breaking.
Reyes a free agent?
He was re-signed.
He was re-signed.
He was re-signed by the Mets.
Right. Yeah. I apologize.
No, it's okay. But you got Jose Reyes, whose legs are honestly breaking.
It's all right. You said Buddy Ryan was the coach for the Purple People Eaters. It was Bud Grant. When you said it, I knew it didn't sound right. Hall of Famer.
Wasn't Buddy Ryan there?
He might have been there, but when you think of those Vikings.